Would you look at that? It's not Thursday.
It's not. It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
I mean, we're pushing it. We're pushing it. But,
yeah.
Okay, so you made me watch I don't even know what this week.
Yes, it was a surprisingly poignant and also violent movie.
Yeah. So before we get into the movie, this movie
touches on a lot of adult and complicated themes.
Yes, it is on Netflix, so hopefully you guys will watch it.
It is free on Netflix. I do recommend it.
Yes. But I want to, before we get into the movie, the name of the movie is The Platform. It is a Spanish film, right? It's from Spain?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and there's heavy references to hell.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we can say that.
I think that's fair. Before we get to the quiz, my name is Tyler.
My name is Shay.
And this is Cinematically Correct.
Yes, and we're going to start this off by relating to Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
There are things in here that connect to Dante's Inferno. Definitely hell is very heavily referenced. A lot of religious references in here.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see if you knew what Dante's Inferno circles of hell are and what their symbolism is.
I know some of them.
Well, so let's see what you know. There's 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Well, there's 9. I'm sorry. I was
9
mistaken.
circles of hell. Yep.
9. Okay, so all you need to do is tell me what the first circle is and what it vaguely what it relates to.
Oh God. Can't you tell me the crime at least, or the sin?
But if I do that, then what are you telling me?
What punishment they get?
Fine, limbo is
limbo.
one.
Oh, limbo is not even that bad. Like, it's just a mediocre place. Like, it's.
Yeah. So it's not heaven. It's basically heaven as far as hell goes. It says it's the retirement community of the afterlife. Hippocrates and Aristotle will be your neighbors, so any attempt at small talk will probably turn into big talk in a hurry. You have television, but all the channels will be set to C-SPAN.
So, if I remember correctly, purgatory or limbo is for unbaptized babies that haven't sinned, but they weren't christened. Any of the great philosophers that were before Jesus, and they didn't have time to accept his teachings because they died before he was born.
So we're going to give me lessons after you get around.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, understood. Second circle is lust.
Lust, it's a whirlwind that kills you and rips you apart.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Cleopatra and Helen of Troy were among its most favorite residents during Dante's day. Okay. Third circle, gluttony, which is very relevant here.
Getting ripped apart and eaten by devils or demons? Or eating things and just eating each other and all
basically,
of that? Yeah.
yes. There you go. Fourth circle, greed.
Greed. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It says, according to Dante, those condemned to the fourth circle spend eternity fighting over money and valuables. So be prepared to meet all of your distant cousins who show up out of the nowhere with empty U-Haul trucks.
Okay, so you're literally fighting over the little scraps that. Okay.
Yep. Fifth circle, anger.
Anger. I don't.
You spend eternity waging battle on the river of Styx.
Oh. That's a bad one. They're like in a river of boiling blood.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Mm-hmm. Heresy.
Heresy. That's a bad one according to the Catholic Church.
I'm pretty sure they're getting worse.
Oh, no.
Okay.
The worst one is the ninth circle, which is reserved for, I think, 2 people.
Okay, well, we're on 6.
I don't know. Heresy.
Dante wrote that heretics spent eternity entombed in flaming crypts in the 6th circle, but heresy is kind of an obscure sin in modern times, so...
Okay.
Yep. 7th circle, violence.
I don't honestly remember what is that. I have read Dante's Inferno, although you'd never know.
You would never know it. So there's 3 rings of that one, the outer, the middle, and the inner. The middle ring consists of those who commit violence. They're eaten by harpies in the trees.
Okay, that's the people who kill themselves. Suicide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The inner ring is blasphemers and sodomites.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of sodomites back in the day.
Yeah, apparently. Number 8 is fraud.
Fraud. So stealing from people. Having things stolen from you?
Yeah, basically. And like votes and stuff. Within the 8th circle, there is evil pockets, which consist 10 ditches. There's different types of fraud. Panderers, seducers, flatterers. They're all guarded by demons, and the inhabitants suffer different punishments, such as the Simonex, who stand headfirst in stone bowels and endure flames upon their feet.
That's horrible.
Yep. Number 9 is treachery.
That's for 3 people, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It's Brutus, Judas Iscariot, and the devil, Lucifer. And their punishment is being frozen, basically.
Yeah. So this is for the hosts who betray their guests. They are punished more harshly because of the belief that having guests means entering into a voluntary relationship and betraying a relationship willingly. Entered is more despicable than betraying a relationship born into. But yeah, that's basically what happens.
Yeah.
So
it's like the devil has to keep flapping his wings to freeze the ice, but keep himself aloft somehow. Like sounds kind of horrible.
And then you enter into the center of hell. So that's So, lovely. This movie has a lot of that in it. There's a lot of biblical references. There's a lot of devil references. So, yeah, let's go into that. But before we get into the movie itself, we should do the beer.
I do have a beer. It's Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
I mean, there's a lot of questions about... this is a Michael Jackson beer. If you could see the can art, you would know this. Would be curious as to what level he would be on in this movie. But,
I'm actually interested to try this. It's going to be a sour India Pale Ale. So it's got sour, which I would like. But
I never heard that combination, but okay, let's try it. Not as satisfying as
some of the other ones have great cracks. This one,
That's going to be part of our rating system.
I mean, it's not bad. It's not my favorite, but it's fine.
It's like a 3?
Give it a 3.7.
Oh, okay.
3.5.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. It's better than some of the ones I've had for the podcast. It's definitely better than the tomato beer.
Oh, it's never gonna die. It's never gonna die. Which
that
means
was
I
the
have
worst.
to do better and get you a horrible one.
No, that one was the worst beer in the history of the world.
Cannot wait till Corona's over and I get to start getting the beers again.
Oh, God.
Okay. All right. So, brief synopsis, please, and thank you.
Brief synopsis.
Brief synopsis.
It's people that are either being imprisoned for a crime or volunteering to go into this vertical management system, as the people that run it call it. And it's basically different platforms with different people. And one tray of food is lowered down, and you can only get what the people above you didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically a dystopian nightmare that works exactly how you would expect it to work because people are terrible.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Okay, so IMDb. Now, okay, let me just put this out here. This is a foreign film, so this film was made in Spain. I don't know that I've ever seen another movie made in Spain. I may have, but I don't know off the top of my head. So going through the characters kind of seems silly because we don't really know much, but...
We do have to go through them.
Well, of course we do, but I just want to say we don't know them from anything. So, and also I can't read half of the titles of the movies that they're in. So, okay. So, Ivan...
Masagui?
So he plays the main character.
Yes.
From what I read, he is known for his comedic roles.
Huh.
Which was supposed to give a lighthearted...
Not a lighthearted movie.
It was supposed to give it a little edge. So I'm assuming like it would be like, I don't know, Robin Williams playing in a movie where it kind of like gives off a little bit of a...
I mean, Robin Williams had some serious drama chops from Good Will Hunting.
Well, that's why I was trying to think of a comedic actor that's gone.
Okay.
But I don't know. But anyway, so maybe it would have a different color to somebody who knew them as a comedic
I scrolled
actor.
his IMDb, and the only thing that I saw was Pan's Labyrinth. Which, honestly, I've never seen Pan's Labyrinth, but from the trailer, it looked trippy as balls.
Yeah, no, I've never seen it. I've heard of it, obviously, but it's like Guillermo del Toro.
Yep.
Is that how you say it? Yeah. So, I don't know. But anyway, he was really good. There's nothing I can say about him either.
No.
He was a good actor. He was interesting. I'm glad that he was the main character because him and the older guy were my favorites.
No, he was very compelling. I mean, he was just a good-hearted person that's trying to do the right thing.
Right.
So,
And, I mean, see how that went.
didn't go very well. Spoilers.
So, Zorion Elguero played
Aguilar?
Trimagasi, which was
Yeah.
the older guy, right?
Correct.
Now, they don't have a picture on IMDb. That's why I'm asking, not because I'm
It
slow.
is the old guy. Yes.
He also apparently was a comedic actor, which
Really?
kind of makes sense if you think of like his facial expressions and stuff. He kind of had that like almost
He looks similar almost to Danny DeVito.
Oh, I was thinking of what's the Magicians, the one that there's like one silent and one
Penn and Teller?
Yeah, that kind of gave me that vibe, like the way his facial expressions were.
Okay.
So, anyway, I liked him. I thought he was really good.
Darling, he was a cannibal that carried a knife into a prison.
Okay, but we remember who my favorite character of all fiction is, right? Right?
Fair.
Yeah, okay. If you guys haven't heard me say it recently, it's Moriarty. You're welcome. But anyway, the only thing I didn't like about him was his fixation with obviously, which I do not understand. So
They said it a lot in this movie.
I think they said 26 times or something like that.
It was,
so
obviously.
Yeah, it was weird fixation because it makes me think of like a teenage girl, and it did kind of take me out of things. So I'm wondering if
oh my god.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there was
Obviously.
something lost in translation there. Like, was obviously his word in Spanish?
Probably.
I don't know.
Or obviously.
We didn't even get an option to hear the Spanish version. Maybe I would have picked up something if we heard the Spanish version.
Yeah.
Don't know. Anyway, the next person is Antonia San Juan. She plays Imaguri. So she is a woman from the administration who ends up deciding to come into the vertical management system
to try to fix it because she was diagnosed with terminal cancer.
Right. So I don't have anything to say about her. She's, what you would expect. She's somebody who was from the administration, thought they were doing good, had no idea what they were actually doing, and then when realized what they were actually doing, can't handle it and offs herself.
Yeah. Well, I think she offed herself because she realized that they had lied to her because she thought it went to 200 and they were on 202.
Right.
And so she's like, what else have they lied? Are there children here? Oh, God.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you expect? Again, really, all of them were really great actors. I don't think there was anybody in there that I was like, oh, wow, what horrible actor.
No, it was fine across the board.
Yeah. Emilio Buale. So that was the guy who ended up fighting with the main character, right?
I believe so, yes. The gentleman that was
The picture isn't great.
The guy was trying to climb up back to the first level.
Yeah, so he meets him after the woman from the administration dies.
Yep.
And this guy is basically looking to use a rope to get up to the top level. They're on level 6, I believe, at
Correct.
the time.
Yep.
And, I didn't get to know him. So there wasn't much for me to connect to on this character at all. But he is the character that is your reference, right?
Your reference.
Oh, my reference. Oh, so if you guys can't tell, the references in this is not great because they're literally all Spanish actors from another country. Only one of them...
Are they from Spain?
Well, only one of them has actually done movies that have English actors even in it. So...
For the most part, yeah.
I went through all of the IMDb's.
Yeah.
So... Okay, so Emilio Buale, was in The Gunman with Idris Elba, who was in Avengers with Sean Gunn, who's Kirk. So, yes, it's a double wappa, but you're going to have to give me a break because I had to cross countries.
You do a bit of jumping to get there.
I had to jump an ocean, okay? Give me a break.
Yeah. The only other person that I have to mention is my reference, which is Eric Good.
Okay, and he looked familiar to me, and I don't know why.
Well, he's the person with actual understandable things on his IMDb that I could read.
That's fair.
Because I don't speak Spanish or read Spanish.
I very, very little.
So, he was in Grand Piano with Elijah Wood.
Which I don't even know what that is, but Elijah Wood is on the cover.
Yeah, it was. Thank God, because I would have never found it. Never would have found it.
Yes. So, we got the references. Boom. That's all I'm going to say that. You know, for the people that are counting and hoping that we miss. There you go. You're welcome.
Also, I'm going to apologize in advance if you can hear the chewing in the background. We might have gotten a puppy.
Yeah, it's the only way that we can get her to calm down is to let her chew. So, there you are. Okay, so... we're going to start by talking about dub versus subtitles, because that was my first impression of the movie. Is the first thing I saw was, we didn't know. We went into this not knowing if it was going to be subtitled or dubbed. We figured one or the other, given that it's from Spain.
Yeah.
But the trailer was in English, so we weren't sure. So how do you feel about this? Because the last foreign film we saw was subtitled.
I would honestly think I would prefer subtitles.
And why is that?
It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it doesn't pull you out of the movie the same way that dubbing would, where he finishes talking and the sound is still coming.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. It's kind of a little bit of an idiosyncratic thing because it's not exactly lined up.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it almost felt like it was a narrator, like, narrating the film, and the characters were just there, and, like, I at points had a hard time kind of distinguishing, like, who was talking, especially when it was two men in the room, because I'm like, but the mouth isn't following. No. So it was a little bit, but you got used to it as it went along, and you got kind of...
It did get better as the movie went on, and less noticeable, but with subtitles, like for Mother, we don't speak Korean.
No.
Shockers.
Really?
Yeah. So we're listening to all of the actors say their lines, but in reading it, which for me personally has a better flow.
It's an easier flow. Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
So where do we go from here? The allegory? The heavy-handed allegory that is this movie?
Yeah. So, okay, guys, you came into a movie with a boring finance man, so we're gonna very much talk about the boring finance allegory we got going on here.
There's a heavy symbolism in this of what it looks like to live in a dystopian classist society, which we already live in, and it's our ongoing nightmare all over the world.
Yeah, so, I mean, looking at the trailer, my first thought was it was a critique on capitalism. So I guess we can start there, which it clearly is a critique on capitalism, but it's not just that.
No, it's definitely a critique on capitalism in terms of you have people that are at the top. Oftentimes, no thing that they did is just random, and they are taking advantage of the system because they can.
Yes, basically. I mean, so in this movie, the way they set this up is you are assigned a floor at random, and you stay there for a month, and then at the end of the month, you are moved to a different floor. Right. Now, there are theories as to how you get into different floors and all that kind of stuff, which we'll talk about, but the way the movie sets it up, it's completely random.
Right.
And basically, the way it is you may be on the bottom floor and then end up at the top floor, but you end up acting like you're a top floor person when you move to the top floor, and that's the problem. The problem is that you don't care about the people below you, even though you were there, even though you've been there. You act like you just don't care or don't know or whatever it is.
Not my problem. It's their problem.
Right. It's, they're below people. And then you don't talk to the top people to help because they're top people. So you only help yourself. You are only out for yourself. And that's the problem. Is humanity is only out for themselves. So nothing works, is basically what the allegory is.
Right. People are inherently selfish and cannot be trusted, which is why the government has to step in and create laws for companies not to poison drinking water.
Right.
And to not use radium paint in clocks. Like, that's just...
Right. So, I mean, it is also a commentary on socialism. Right. And not a good one.
I mean, no. And that's not to be unexpected, given that it's a Spanish film, but... We're getting ahead of my history minute. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. But I just wanted to basically say this is an allegory of any kind of economic system and basically showing that the problem isn't only the system. The problem is us. The problem is people.
Well, no, it's also a commentary on communism, because communism theoretically should work.
And that's one of the first things the guy says when
you're not a communist, are you?
Right. Are you a communist? So, in theory, a lot of these things should work if done properly. But the problem is people. The problem is people are selfish. So that's what the movie is about. It's not really a commentary on... it's a commentary on all the broken systems, but how...
People will always ruin a good thing because they can't help themselves from taking more than what they are due.
Right.
Like, all kinds of things. You can't go onto the Great Pyramids anymore because people started taking pieces off the pyramids, and the government was like, no. Stop taking a piece of the pyramid.
As the saying goes, this is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot to go over in this movie. There's a lot of things. So one of the things that comes up in this movie is you are assigned roommates at random.
Yeah.
So he is assigned to different...
Three roommates.
Oh, yeah. 3 roommates, but that one ends up not being a roommate. They kind of be a platform surfer. But so 2 of them are the ones that kind of almost stick with him as voices, I guess we could say.
Yes, because they die.
Yeah. And so they have very different approaches to how to deal with the situation that they're in. So I think we should talk about that because I think it does kind of talk about the difference in how people deal with the societies that they live in.
Well, so the main guy, the old guy, is very much a look out for yourself because other people don't matter kind of.
Right. Now, in that, though, when he was going to kill, or not kill, he was going to eat parts of the main character. He wasn't going to kill him. But the reason he wasn't going to kill him is because his flesh would rot too quickly. Yeah. So it was a selfish reason, but he was going to just take what he needed so that they could both survive.
Right.
Before they got into the next platform, and he was going to help heal.
Hopefully it was a nicer platform at that point where they are fine then.
Right. Now, it wasn't pure intentions. He didn't want the flesh to rot. But, I mean, whatever. But so his way of dealing with it is the way you would think a typical person deals with it. Or the way the movie is saying, at least a typical person deals with it. Out for themselves. Do what you have to do. Fill up when you can. When you can't, make other ways to do it.
Yeah, it's just to hell with the people below us because they don't matter. And to hell with the people up top, they have too much.
Right, and he pisses on people below him, and the guy said, well, why'd you do that? And he said, because when they're up there, they're going to piss on us too.
Yeah.
So...
You could just not do that and be like, hey, I'm not going to piss on you, so please don't piss on me.
Right, set an example. A one that you want followed, not one that
The golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated.
Yeah, golden rule, not golden shower.
Yeah. Oh. Wow. All right.
Anyway... but then there is the woman from the administration who has a very different approach and likely comes from her experiences versus his, where he came into the system out of prison. He killed somebody and in a gluttonous way himself, really.
Yeah, it was a consumerist kind of capitalist thing where he threw his TV out because he kept buying things off infomercials because he's a hopeless consumer.
Right. And he ended up getting upset that he got scammed
by infomercials on TV because of course he did.
Immigrant.
An immigrant.
Yeah,
you
with the
did
TV.
not say very many nice things about this movie in terms of racial sensitivity.
Yeah. But then the woman kind of had more altruistic motives.
Well, she was trying to fix the system by setting a better example.
Yes. So she came into this because she was ended up diagnosed with cancer, and she had been the person who had been admitting people for all this time, and she wanted to kind of come in and try to fix the system and kind of help people see what it was supposed to be, what the intent behind it was. So she came in and she started putting together plates of food, rationing them out, and saying, please only eat your ration, and then put together plates for the people below you and ask them to do the same so that everybody gets fed. Right. And basically people are telling her to go F herself, like they were ignoring her. The main character ended up stepping in and saying, hey, you're going to do this or I'm going to shit on your food and you're going to have nothing. And she said, why don't you...
Do this or I will make you do it.
Yeah, and she was like, well, why don't you tell the people above you to do the same? And he's like, because I can't shit up. So, like, it was an interesting way to show, like, she had great motives, but she didn't understand that...
People are broken fundamentally, at least according to this movie. And you could make a case for that in real life.
Right. So do you think that they represented anything, or do you think they were just different people?
Well, they're very clearly different people in terms of what their ideals. I don't know if they represent someone or something, but they are very different people set up diametrically opposed.
Yes, very, very clearly. I mean, obviously for me, I saw a devil-angel type dichotomy. I mean, towards the end of the movie, you see them talking to him as ghosts. And I looked at it as like the angel on the shoulder and the devil on the shoulder and kind of telling him what or at least what the movie wanted him to think should be done, and then versus what the world is doing now.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing.
I mean, I can totally see that. I mean, Dante had a guide through hell.
Devil guide or just a little narrator or...
No, it was one of the people in, I believe, Purgatory or Limbo, one of the famous scholars.
Oh.
It's
been a long time since I've read anything to do with Dante's Inferno. Okay, another part of the movie is the item choices that you bring in. So we see that the main character brought in Don Quixote.
Which fits with this because Don Quixote is a story about the futility of doing something that just makes no sense. Like, he tilts at windmills. Like, he thinks that they're actual worthy opponents, and it's a story about futility. And
I always thought he was just dumb, but I mean, okay. The woman brought in a dog.
Terrible decision. I'm not bringing a dog into a place where cannibalism is a thing.
Yeah, I mean, so I had some questions with her when she brought in the dog, but she did do the right thing, and she ate one day and the dog ate the other day, so she wasn't taking more than her fair share, which originally my first thought was, but you have another mouth to feed, how could you do that? But yes, the dog ends up being killed, which I hate when they show dead. How many
movies are we going to do with dog murder? Like,
I don't understand it.
We've done like 70 movies now with dog murder. It's been obscene.
Now, I don't think anybody ate the dog, which I guess...
Oh, no, the girl did.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well,
100% she did.
Okay. Oh, and she...
What? Yep, that's...
Yeah, I'm not going to say that, but y'all can follow. Oh, well, we haven't actually said that she has a nationality, but she has one, and I'm sure you can guess what it is now because I just paused. So, well, that's awkward.
They're really not very racially sensitive in this movie. By American standards?
Yeah, I didn't put that together until just now, and I feel really uncomfortable about it. So, okay. Let's move on.
Please.
Yeah, the older man had knives.
Much better thing for a prison where you have to fend for yourself.
I mean, but is it though? It's also the reason he ended up there in the first place.
I mean... But assuming that they're not tacking on additional time in the different systems on the different levels for all of the murders, yeah, you're going to want some kind of weapon.
But do you think he knew going in there that murder was going to be necessary? Because, I mean, why would you go in there if you knew that?
I mean, people have to be released from there, right? Like, occasionally?
I mean...
And hear the terrible stories of what happens there?
I mean, if it's supposed to be hell, then...
Well, if it's supposed to be hell, but then somebody went voluntarily. Are we saying that he killed himself?
I guess. I mean, wow, we got dark, but I mean, okay. That's okay.
I don't know.
That you get eaten alive by harpies, which I guess follows.
I don't know. I assume that people would tell horrible stories of what is going on once they get released.
Well, right. I mean, that's the question, right? Like, if they do get released, then how does this thing still exist? Because wouldn't people be talking about it, complaining about it, freaking out about it? I mean, I don't know. Okay, so the other thing was, what did the other guy, the guy that fought with him, brought a rope.
Yep.
To hang himself, literally.
To climb to the upper levels, because he was hoping to...
But he...
No. He was trying to get back out of it by climbing his way out.
I'll say I looked at it as he hung himself with his quest to upward mobility, and that's why he died.
No, he didn't die. He got stabbed.
I know, but it was an allegory, and because he was...
No, it was picking yourself up by your bootstraps and realizing how futile that is without a little bit of help from people above you.
And they literally shit on him.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, actually, literally, a woman pulled her pants down and shit on him.
Well, it wasn't literal. It's a movie. They didn't actually do that in real life, but...
No, I'm just saying, like, it's not like they shit on him like they said no. Like, they actually shit on him in the movie. Yes. So I just want to be clear about this. Okay.
So this movie has all kinds of horrible. It has cannibalism and just... defecation on people. It's
pissing on people. Oh, God. There's just the whole thing. Okay.
Really gross eating. It's not good.
Yes. This.
Not for the squeamish.
No. Okay. So this movie has really great allegory and has really great conversation, but the ending becomes really confusing. Okay, and there's a lot of okay, but what does that mean, and where do we go with this, and just speculation. So I think that because it's that type of movie, we should at least try to see if we have any ideas of what certain things mean. Okay. Okay. Do you want me to start?
Well, so the first thing, when they get to the bottom, which is all blacked out because there's no light there, that to me is very reminiscent of Dante's Inferno, because that was the worst level of hell, was the 9th level, which was completely dark and devoid of any of God's love or light or warmth.
So he walked off into the 9th circle of hell willingly?
I don't know, because no. Like,
Just no.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, it was nothingness.
There's no food. There's no light. There's no anything. Also, this is like Titanic all over again. There's room on that platform. Get back on that platform.
right? Exactly. Yeah, so the ending, the part where he walks off into the end, there's the question of, okay, so where are they going? What does this mean for him? Is he dead? He's walking away with a ghost, so are we to assume he's dead? Like, there's a lot of, like, what does that mean? And are we happy for him in the end? Like, do we feel he got his point across?
I mean, I guess, but he died. So, sucks to be you. He still doesn't get out. Like, that sucks.
Right.
I wanted a happy ending. I wanted him riding off to the sunset and, like, adopting the little girl.
Right. So I don't think we mentioned exactly what he ends up doing, but so when he ends up getting his last roommate, they end up banding together and riding the platform all the way down and basically fighting everyone from floors 6 through 50 to not take any food so that they can ration the food off for the people in the lower levels because they haven't been able to eat. And so one day of fasting won't kill you. And that's the thought process. And they end up killing a lot of people along the way.
Yeah, you bashed a lot of heads to get your point across.
Yeah.
On the way down.
Is that the right way? First of all, like, is it
for the greater good to bash a couple people to death with a piece of reinforced steel?
Yeah, so this is a part of, I guess, socialism, in that what it's basically saying is that socialism isn't just kumbaya, like we're all gonna do things together and it's all gonna work out. Like, no, at the beginning there's gonna be force involved. Like, there has to be, because we're not all inherently selfless people. If we were, then we would be living a better world already anyway.
We'd be living on a hippie commune and everything would be peachy.
Right, so it comes with force. And then the question is that force worth the end result?
Do the ends justify the means?
Right, and I don't have an answer to that. I don't genuinely know. I mean, he ends up dying. His friend ends up dying. We don't even know what happens with the girl. She goes up on a platform so fast that, inertia would say she dies.
Worst ride ever.
Well, inertia would say that when she gets to the top, she's going to smash and die. I mean, that would be inertia.
There's no seatbelt. So...
Yeah. I mean, so we can say it's a movie, and that's not how that works, and it'll slow down eventually. But if you see how fast that platform's going, this girl, a pancake. That's what this girl is.
She's a red splat on the ceiling.
Yeah, so just have to get that out there in case that wasn't noticed. But is it worth it in the end? I don't know. And is socialism worth it? That some people are going to have to go down in order for the greater good to work, because not everybody can live in that kind of world.
I would tend to say that controlled socialist programs are a benefit, but I mean, it all depends. It's everything in moderation. There's no one way is only the right way. You can't say only socialist is going to work or only capitalism is going to work. It's moderation across all platforms.
Right. It's solidarity, as they say in the movie. It's all about solidarity. Okay, so another question that comes up in the movie is there's a woman who is riding down the platform in search of her daughter or son. We don't know at the time. Child. And we're told this by the first roommate that he has.
Yeah.
And then when we meet the woman from the administration, she says, no, there's no child. Nobody under 16 is allowed here. So then it begs the question, when we finally meet the child towards the end of the movie, a lot of things. Is the child real? Does she really exist? If she does really exist, how did she get here? The administration woman says... She looks very well fed. Right. The administration woman states that nobody was admitted with this woman. So was the child admitted prior to her being there? The woman was supposedly only there 9 months, so the child is not a baby, so she couldn't have been pregnant and born there. So how did the child get in, if she is real? So there's a lot of questions here. So do you have any theories?
I honestly don't, other than she also thought it was only 200 floors.
But she admitted the woman. She admitted the woman alone.
She admitted the woman alone, but then also she could have mistaken it and had a different woman.
I guess.
That she admitted. That's entirely possible.
But she knew this man enough that she was able to pick him as her roommate.
Well, yeah, because she admitted him and he went voluntarily. And that's a very rare thing.
I guess that's fair. So there is a theory. Should we talk about the theory?
Yes.
about the fact that the little girl may or may not be real. It could actually be a hallucination. So there is a quote that comes out from the director who states that the ending of the movie is actually supposed to be hallucinations, that he's actually dead, the main character, and that the movie ends prior. So the theory online goes that the movie is supposed to end at the scene where the upper floor is looking at the panna cotta and he's very upset because there is a hair in it. And you don't really know what that scene means at the time. But the theory goes that what it means is this whole time they're trying to save the panna cotta as they're going down. And that at the end of the movie, they end up sending up the girl. But maybe what they actually ended up doing was sending up the panna cotta, which was their original intent. Panna cotta is the message. You say it like 8 times. Yeah. And unfortunately, the message gets muddied because they think that they sent up the panna cotta because there was a hair in it, not because they're trying to say we all work together and we were able to do this in spite of you.
To hell with you. We don't need your stupid system because it doesn't work, and we're sending this back as a screw you.
Right. They think they're saying, ew, this is gross. I'm not going to eat that. That's what they think.
Which, as anyone that has worked in food service can attest, that of course happens.
Well, but it also shows, if that is what it was meant to be, how out of touch the upper...
Well, it's like Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake because they don't have bread. Well, they don't have either.
Right. So it shows how out of touch those at the top who are... They could definitely have good intentions, but they don't understand because they've never been down there. They don't understand how it works. So they think, like, well, I mean, of course, I wouldn't eat something with hair in it either. They don't understand how desperate those people are, that hair would have been nothing to them.
No, they've eaten food that has gone bad. They've eaten food that people have spit out. They've...
Right.
Just the awfulness that is the people that are on the lower levels.
Right. So they don't understand how out of touch they are. The other theory that comes with the girl, with the young girl, is also to do with panna cotta. So at one point in the movie, you learn that if you keep something from the platform, you will get cold or hot until you return what you've given. So the theory goes that actually everybody could be fed if you only ate what you asked for. So when you went into there, they asked you what your favorite food is, and they made it very clear that you cannot enter without doing that. She kept saying it's important.
Please think about it.
Yeah, so he asked for snails, like escargot.
Yeah.
And that is on the plate. We do see that it is there. So if you only ate your plate, then everybody would be fed. And the reason that when the little girl got the panna cotta at the bottom and the platform went away and nothing bad happened, was because it was actually her food. It was her plate. So that actually makes sense too, is they did at the top give everybody what they needed, but people took more than their own stuff, and that's where we ended up where we are. So that's kind of...
I think I buy that a lot, actually. That would make all the sense in the world. They're saying, hey, that's not yours, give it back. But what do they care if you're eating your actual favorite dish?
So what do we think of the mother then? Do we think she was just a badass who was protecting that panna cotta for her daughter because her daughter always got the food? So was she just there to guard that food for her?
Did she always get the food, though?
That girl was fed.
Well, yeah, but how?
Or the mother brought her a dead body all the time? I mean...
Well, likely all of the dead bodies have to fall to the bottom anyway.
That's true. So is that what the mother was always killing for? Was to make sure her daughter was fed?
I mean, that's entirely possible. I don't know, because...
And are we against that? I don't know. I don't know.
Remains to be seen.
I mean, I'm just curious because... So the woman does not come across as a likable character. She kills a dog, okay? I mean,
other than the dog murder because she's desperately hungry, she's a badass.
She's a badass, but she seems to kill without rhyme or reason.
I mean, she killed a couple people that were trying to kill or hurt her or other people, so it's not like she's killing for the sake of killing.
But she kills her roommate every time in hopes of getting another roommate.
Well, maybe the roommate has done something every time. I don't know.
Right. Well, this would lead into another theory, too, which is that in order to move up in the floors, you must kill, and if you don't kill, you move down. So the mother would continue to kill to make sure that she's high enough that she can ride down and bring something down to her daughter.
I mean, that makes a decent amount of sense.
It does, too. But, I mean, we don't know if that logic follows. We don't necessarily see the main character always killing people. He sometimes has dead bodies to eat, but he doesn't necessarily always kill, but he does end up moving up. So does the logic follow? We don't know.
Well, so my question is, so the mother goes all the way down. Does then she ride the platform back up to repeat the cycle every time so that her daughter always gets the panna cotta?
I mean, I don't know. I was assuming that the woman would ride it down. She would stay with her daughter until the next cycle and then end up on a new high floor because she killed people along the way.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah. But then the system breaks down when you think about the couple, the man and woman that's above the 6th floor. I think they're on the 5th floor.
Yeah.
Who would they have killed? Because they're married. So you would assume, have been together this whole time. So they didn't kill other people unless they brought each other as their item. And then they have another roommate.
I don't think you can do that, though, can you?
I don't know. I don't know what the rules are.
There are no rules.
I mean, you can bring a dog. So, I mean, can you bring a ball and chain? I don't know. But then the thought would be that they always kill their roommate, and that's how they get up.
You would be so screwed because you're always hungry.
I know. I really am. Anyway, thank you for owning me on a podcast.
Yeah. So moving on to current times, this has a lot of relevance to our everyday life during the nightmare that is COVID-19.
Does it now?
Yes. So the whole system would work if we all did what we needed to do. Every system. So the system and the platform and our society as a whole would function if everyone did their part.
If we all worked together and stopped dividing.
And wore a goddamn mask.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes.
Those people need to be hit in the face with a brick.
Oh, boy. We're going to have somebody. We're going to have an anti-masker listen to this and we're going to get attacked.
You are stupid and you deserve nothing good in your life. And everyone that loves you and cares for you is wrong.
Lovely. I am waiting for those tweets. Thanks so much.
Well, it's just all the other countries in the world have gotten back to some semblance of normalcy for the most part because they're listening to doctors, not an orange narcissist, and wearing a mask and socially distancing and taking necessary precautions.
Right, because at the end of the day, even if masks don't work, since some people want to say that they don't, whatever, even if they don't, caring about another human being and doing it at the chance that they would is better than just flagrantly disregarding rules.
Even if they didn't work, which they obviously do, of course they do, because science, even if they didn't, other people's feelings that they do are worth consideration in their own right.
Right.
You're making someone feel less stressed and make them feel better going about their day in a difficult and terrifying time.
Exactly.
So
care about your fellow neighbor, please, and thank you. But
it's not that hard.
How does that relate?
Relates to people. All they need to do is take what they need, or even a little bit less than they need, and pass it down, pass it forward. But you can't be trusted to do that because people take advantage of a good thing, and then people complain about their misfortune when it's a bad thing.
Right.
When you get the short straw, you don't complain about, I should have been nicer to the people below me when I was at level 5.
Right. And I mean, so for me, the reason that this relates to COVID-19 would be that a lot of the arguments right now have been, well, you know what, then the sick and the elderly or the people who are immunocompromised or whatever, you can stay home and I'm going to go out, I'm going to do my thing. But that's not the point. The point is that the society as a whole does not function if we don't all work together. First of all, people that are immunocompromised or all of those types of things, they can't just not work as society is going forward. Your economy will collapse. There'll be less people that are buying things. They all lose their jobs. Like, they all need government assistance, which somebody has to pay for. Things don't work if society isn't working together. Also, if we let everybody just kind of stay in their homes and you're out there gallivanting, then you're going to start getting sick and you're going to fill up the hospitals. And then when they have actual sicknesses like heart attacks, COPD attacks, asthma attacks, whatever it is, there's nowhere for them to go in the hospitals. Right. And they get overrun. It's not
about you. Stop being a selfish person. Stop being a Karen and put on a damn mask.
Right.
It's not hard.
You
don't need to cut your hair in that. I need to speak to your manager haircut. Wear a damn mask. Right. And be nice to people.
Right. Good for you for being able to fight this virus that not everybody can fight. Congrats. Do you want a pat on the back? Now put a mask on so you don't hurt somebody else. Thank you very much. I would like that. So anyway, that's how it relates to nowadays society, at least that I feel. And I feel like if we all actually took a moment to think about somebody below us in our little world that we're living in, we might actually do good for once. But that's never going to happen. So
No.
No. Mm-mm.
Because this is American, but my rights.
Anyway, so do I get to take a nap now? Because I think it's History Minute.
Well, before we get to the History Minute, the last thing I did want to mention is that the platforms were exactly 10 meters apart.
Uh-huh.
And 10 meters is 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's 333 levels or
There
floors.
is.
So it means that the total depth is 6,660.
Yes.
And if there's also 333 floors and 2 people per floor, there's also 666 people.
So hell.
Yeah.
It's literally
The mark
hell.
of the beast, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The mark of the beast. Oh, God. Here we go.
So, all right. Brace yourselves for Tyler's History Minute.
Tyler's History Minute.
All right, I'm taking a nap, guys. Where's your Ambien?
So, first thing I want to talk about is trickle-down economics.
Oh, joy. I cannot wait.
Which is also called trickle-down theory or supply-side economics, which deals with lower taxes and lower regulation is going to lead to a bigger economy because there's less roadblocks in the way of people making things.
Okay. Sound logic.
So I was coined by Will Rogers in the 1930s during the Great Depression. What a wonderful time it must have been to be alive then. It was actually something similar was referenced quite a bit before that in 1896 by William Jennings Bryan. And he said that prosperity will leak out to the lower levels in a speech.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah.
That's a great... Love the word leak.
Yeah. But Will Rogers was making fun of President Hoover at the time. He said Hoover was an engineer, and he knows that water trickles down. If you put it at the top of a hill and let it free, it'll find the lowest, driest spot there is. But he didn't know that money trickles up. So give to the bottom, and the people at the top will have it before night anyhow.
It's just true. It's a fair...
But at least it will have passed through the poor fellow's hand.
Okay. I like
So
that
if you
theory.
give it to the poor person, he's going to spend it because he doesn't have anything else to do with it. And he's going to buy something, food, clothing, shelter, and then it's going to go to the top anyway.
Right.
Which is a quite logical way to look at it. Like that's, of course, how things work.
Right.
So I'm going to switch to the opposite of this. So demand side economics is also called Keynesian economics for John Maynard Keynes.
Okay.
And his philosophy was more in line with you want free capitalism, but during a recession or depression, the only thing that can start stimulating the economy is buying things. And so he would oftentimes say that the government could be just as productive digging a hole and throwing money in it, and then digging it back up and throwing it back in again, as long as they're spending money to do it, because it's putting money in people's pockets so they can go buy the things that they need.
So like stimulus checks?
Stimulus checks or government work programs like the Hoover Dam.
Okay.
So building roads, building the Hoover Dam, building all of these things, you're paying those people and they're spending the money to then stimulate the economy, because during the Great Depression, everything crashed, no one had a job, so no one was buying things, and so the people that made things stopped making them, fired more people, and it kept cycling.
Okay. I see the logic.
Yeah. So I would typically ascribe to a more Keynesian approach where you need the injection to stimulate the economy during a recession, not to juice the stock market, like some people.
Oh, I mean, he's done both, technically.
Oh, God. Don't even get me started. The other thing that I want to talk about is that because this is a Spanish film, I can't help but think this is a very different connotation and different perspective in Spain, because they have a very different experience than America.
I would have to think that. And I think it's only culturally accurate that we at least look at it from the perspective that it was intended to be looked at.
Right. So, for those unaware, Spain was a fascist, authoritarian dictatorship until 1972. or 1976, somewhere in there. So very recent. Our parents would have been alive at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Under Francisco Franco, who took power in 1939. So he was...
He must have taken power when he's pretty young.
Benito Mussolini and Adolf Hitler and Francisco Franco are all the most notable fascists. Okay. Not a good list to be on.
No, not really.
So he wrested the control from the monarchy and started killing lots of people and having secret police. It was not a good thing.
Sounds pretty bad.
Nationalism and fascism don't work. So please stop trying it all over the world. Everyone.
Yeah, no particular specific country that we're talking about or anything like that. No. Okay.
I think this resonates more with them because of the administration aspect of it.
Okay.
I'm making an assumption because I don't know, but the whole concept of the government dictating this, and it's all done to the citizens at random that are being punished in this horrible, ungodly way. And they're not even telling the people that are helping with this to send the people to the prison, and they're not explaining how bad it is, which I would equate to similar to the concentration camps. You're not told, oh yeah, we're killing all of these people before they send you there.
Right, because people wouldn't send them there if they do that. So.
Exactly.
Right.
And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that this is not something that's possible given the United States Constitution. Do you know which amendment?
That you can't imprison people?
Cruel and unusual punishment is against the U.S. Constitution.
Oh, do I know the amendment? No, I don't. I know that cruel and unusual punishment is against.
It is the 8th Amendment. It also talks about unreasonable cash bail.
Oh.
So you're not allowed to use cash bail to keep someone in prison because back then they had such a thing as debtor's prison where if you were broke and you owed people money, they'd send you to prison until you paid.
Gotcha.
So they wrote that into the Constitution so you couldn't do that. And then also you can't torture people. So that's what I got for the History Minute.
Well then.
Yeah.
All right, I can get up from my nap. We're done?
Wow, thank you. That's really nice.
I'm kidding. I actually enjoyed this because half the time I've never heard of any of the things. So, useful for me. Okay, audience asks.
Audience asks.
Well, okay, part of it is my fault because it was our fault. We were late this week, so we were late asking is basically what it ended up coming down to.
I mean, realistically, we got our last podcast up like 2 days ago.
Yeah. Okay, so give me a break. But anyway, we have one question.
Okay.
So, the Good Evening Kitties podcast said, oh, actually, they asked 2 questions, so does that count?
Perfect.
Yeah. They said,
loophole.
What would be your one item to bring with you during your sentence?
A I don't know, because a knife is a good one, but if you fall asleep, they're going to have it.
That's fair.
There's no good thing to bring there.
No.
I mean...
There's really not.
Never-ending gobstopper?
I was trying to think of, like, never-ending food, some type of, like...
The loaves that Jesus fed 5,000 people with? To use a biblical reference, because they're all over this movie. The Messiah and 666 and hell. So can I bring Jesus?
I mean, they did call him the Messiah, so wasn't he Jesus?
Well, I don't know. Like, there's no good answer to that, because you can't bring a weapon because it can be turned against you as soon as you fall asleep by the other person, unless you really trust the person.
I mean, maybe bring, like, a big thing of vitamins, so you at least are getting something no matter where you are.
Yeah, but then you're going to run out after, like...
Well, you can have a month's supply of vitamins at least. Some are 3-month supplies. I mean, depends on what you get.
Year's supply of beef jerky?
That would work. Something like that. I mean, so I wouldn't bring in an animal for 2 reasons. 1, I don't want to take more than my fair share. And 2, I don't want to put an animal's life in danger just because I don't want to be alone. Like that, I don't want to put somebody else in danger for my own selfish interests.
I mean, if you bring a cow, do they replace the cow every month? If you butcher it?
Well, they didn't replace the dog.
Well, well, she also killed herself in the next month. So
Well, but did they know that I guess we don't know if she killed herself overnight or in the morning.
right.
Well, no, it had to be in the morning because they were on the next platform.
That's fair. I don't know. That's a question that we need answers from for this movie. If I brought a cow and I killed it, although how would you kill a cow?
I guess with your bare hands, just snap its neck, something like that.
Have you tried killing a cow?
No, obviously. There's milk in the cow and everything, so.
That's a good point. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's no answer.
No, there's no solid answer. Okay, and then what dish of food would you eat first if you were on level 1? So, I guess that really says, what dish would you ask for, though? Because,
Steak.
You're pointing at me? Steak?
Steak?
Do you know before I met you, my favorite food was baked stuffed shrimp?
Really?
Yeah, and I've never had it since we've been married. I've never had it since we started dating, okay?
That's not on me. You can have it whenever you want. I don't care.
My dad makes the best baked stuffed shrimp.
You'd ask for steak with asparagus and then baked potato?
Probably, or potato au gratin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or baked stuffed shrimp, since I miss it so much.
I don't even know what I want. I do love me some pasta. Like some chicken parm.
Ooh, but the heartburn in there. Ooh, you don't have Prilosec.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
I don't know. There's a lot. But see, I would also like to ask you, since, we don't have other people asking questions, which way would you lean in the way you approached the platform? More towards the woman or the man, or would you take a different approach?
I would like to think I would be the woman, but it's very easy to say that on level 5 or level 6 or whatever, or even level 30. It's another thing entirely to say it at level 200.
Right. That's fair. I feel like I handle things more in the way that the woman does, where I'm very much more of thinking about everybody beyond myself, right, more so than even myself. But I feel like if I was a mother, it might be different. Like if I was paired up with my child in a platform, I may actually be more like the man, because your child comes before everything. Right. Where I feel like now, as a single person,
or you'd be the mom going down the platform till you find your kid.
Well, I feel like I'd be more that way if I was a mother, but if I was just me alone, I think I would be more like the woman, because I don't think in the selfish way, even if I want to. So, anyway, okay, so you're zoning
Deck
out.
of cards.
We're still thinking of the item.
The item, yeah.
I was like, why are we zoning in the middle of a podcast here?
Deck of cards would be a good item to have so you could play solitaire.
Yeah, I guess.
Or play gin or something with the other person.
Yeah, pass the time.
Yeah.
Best thing to do, so you don't think about the hunger.
Exactly, yeah.
Good job. Okay, so reviews?
Reviews.
Reviews and ratings. So Rotten Tomatoes has this at professional score of 79. Audience score.
Critic score?
Critic score of 79. Thank you. 79%. It's audience score of 72.
Hey, this is better than the last one we did.
It is.
It is.
Somehow. I'm going to actually go with an 8. It's a solid 8. It's a good movie. It's the dubbed over got me a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's definitely very graphic at times, but that's what this movie called for. Yeah. So, well done. I don't have any major complaints. There's no real soundtrack that I remember. There was...
Except for the beginning of the ding, ding, which jarred me out of my skin, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm going to give it a solid 8 because it's a dystopian nightmare and we're living it.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so I was going to give it a 7. So, for me, I liked the concept and the allegory and all of the stuff that it makes me think about, but there were parts of the movie that I found myself very bored. And
very squeamish at times.
Well, squeamish, yes, but I expected that. But there were, especially towards the end, there were parts where you're just kind of like, okay, but I don't understand what this relates to, and I'm kind of starting to question what the point was. Which I think is also the point of the movie. It's like, this is futile. Like, why are you doing this? It's kind of like you're doing all this and nothing is going to happen. You're going to die anyway. And, like, the same thing with society. Why do everything? We're all going to die anyway. We can't take it with us. I get that. But I found myself getting a little bit bored.
I have a question, an unresolved issue from this movie.
Okay.
How did the black guy know, like, everyone on every other platform?
Right.
They went down like 6 levels and he talked to like 6 different people like, oh, hey, how you doing? And
well, we know that he had been moved around a lot.
Yeah.
Because he mentioned it, but we don't know. I don't know, because I mean, you're not supposed to get a new roommate unless you kill them, and he obviously didn't kill them.
Or they kill themselves.
I mean, it could just be because you saw him talking to people to try to do upward mobility. Maybe he had been talking to people previously. I don't know. I don't know. Unanswered questions. But anyway, so yeah. So for me, it was a 7, but I didn't hate it or anything. I liked it. I think it's a really good conversation piece. Tempo.
Yeah.
I need things to be fast.
All right, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I do recommend watching this movie just based off the lessons that it tries to impart are worthwhile.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
okay, so that's that.
Next week movie.
So
your choice.
Next week we are doing our current October movie, since it's the last week in October.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Death of Me. So this is one of the Hemsworth brothers.
I think it's the least well known of all of them. It's like Larry or something. It's not Larry, but
Larry.
It's not Chris or Liam or any of the other ones. It's one of the offshoot Hemsworth.
I promise you we'll get the name. We won't call him Larry. But anyway, it's apparently about a couple who the woman sees her husband murdering her, but she's not dead, and I don't know, we haven't seen it yet, but it looks good.
The trailer looked very interesting, so...
Yeah, it just came out this month, so we're interested to see it, and we will, I guess, talk about that then. But anyway, if you want to talk to us outside the podcast, I am on Twitter at cinematicallyc, and Tyler is on Twitter, BlameTylerCC. If you want to talk to him, make sure you tag me. He didn't get back to anybody this week, so maybe he should work on that.
Wow. Way to out me on the podcast.
Yeah, way to call you out. But I'm just saying, guys, I did tell him. He has commented to me about his responses. He just has not responded to you. So, anyways, he does read them if you tag me. You can email us, cinematicallycorrect@gmail.com.
Thank you, Krista.
Krista, we love you for doing that. And if you have questions or things you'd like us to talk about in any upcoming movies, or there are movies you want us to do, email is a really good way to do it, because I can always save those, re-reference those. We're always looking for movies, and November is coming, which means sports month. So if you have those movies you want us to see, send them to us, because Tyler will be
sports month, but we can throw in at least a sports movie or something in there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But Tyler would be very excited if there was a sports movie he hadn't seen that he gets to watch for the podcast. So if you want to make him happy, do that. Anyways, but that's it. So if you want to find us on any other platform, we're basically everywhere at CinematicallyC. And thank you to Jake and Athos Music for our intro and outro music, and we'll be back next week with Death of Me.
Thank you all for listening.